This meeting is being recorded.
All right. All right, so first off, thank you guys so much for joining this morning. We appreciate you showing up. This past week, we had a little bit of homework. So that was to have your habit contract filled out. Did you guys get a chance to look at that?
I emailed mine to you.
I got yours, Cynthia. Yep. Anybody else?
I did not, sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. The good thing about it is that we've got another week because next week we're going to be doing a recap of the entire book just to kind of make sure that people have the right takeaways. So you have another week to read and to fill out your habit contract and find an accountability partner. Okay.
Okay.
But I did want to touch on the importance of the habit contract and why it is that we want to do a habit contract and what it is, right? So you guys have a good understanding. And also, Cynthia, since you've done it already, if you want to go back and tweak anything after going through this, you can do that too. But if you go to page 205 and 206, it talks about having an accountability partner. And it's speaking about a gentleman named Roger Fisher, who was a pilot in World War II. And his job at the time was to focus on designing strategies that could prevent nuclear war for our country, right? So I'm going to read this little excerpt. So it says, at the time, Fisher was focused on designing strategies that could prevent nuclear war. And he had noticed a troubling fact. Any sitting president would have access to launch codes that could kill millions of people, but would never actually see anyone die because he would always be thousands of miles away. He said, my suggestion was quite simple, he wrote in 1981. Put that code number in a little capsule and then implant that capsule right next to the heart of a volunteer. The volunteer would carry with him a big, heavy butcher knife as he accompanied the president. If ever the president wanted to fire nuclear weapons, the only way he could do so would be for him first, with his own hands, to kill one human being. The president says, George, I'm sorry, but tens of millions must die. He has to look at someone and realize what death is, what an innocent death is. Blood on the White House carpet. It's reality brought home. So if that's not accountability, I don't know what is. I mean, if you got to kill somebody to get the nuclear codes, that makes you think twice about killing millions of people. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. My whole thought process around this, what I got from it was that, like, accountability can be used to prevent us from slipping into casual living or mediocrity, right? So let me ask you guys, like, have you guys ever had like a really solid accountability partner in your life? Anybody?
Yes, I did. We did a challenge with Sekou for 7 or 8 weeks. And every week we had to switch accountability partners. And out of 8 weeks, I really only had 3 good partners. It is what it is. And one of them, we're still good friends. We even do diet challenges, and we're getting ready to do a video challenge. And when you have someone to call you on the carpet, and when you have someone to text you, did you do what you're supposed to do? Because you can't always talk. Sometimes you have to text. It really helps you to stay accountable. At least it does me.
Awesome. Okay, so based off of what you're saying, tell me what makes a good accountability partner.
One who shows up. The other 5 fell off the bandwagon. Like, I would text them, did you complete our task? They wouldn't even respond back.
Okay.
So like I said, we can't always talk because we're busy. So I would shoot a text message. When I had the video challenge, because we got to pick what our challenge would be, I would make the video and send it to them to let them know I did my task for the day. So that's another way that I showed up. I would give them a call if they had time. I would text them, are you available today? Let's do this call by 5. Let's do the call by 6. That helped too. So it wasn't just one form of communication. It was several forms, whatever worked for you. And it worked. We're still good friends and accountability partners.
That's awesome, Cynthia. And you know what? I feel like the reason that it worked too is because you were willing to be held accountable. Because sometimes I'm like, we can have an accountability partner, but sometimes we just don't want to be held accountable and don't do the things that we say we're going to do. So that's awesome of you. I'm glad that worked out. So you sent me your contract. I've got that. We'll go over that together and I'll sign off on it. And I'm going to dive into the actual habit contract now and basically what the purpose is around it, right? But before I go into that, the actual habit contract, let's talk about, you know, how laws can be somewhat of a contract for us. Okay, so right here in the book on page 207, it goes into the seatbelt law. It says the seatbelt law was passed in New York on December 1st, 1984. At the time, just 14% of people in the United States regularly wore a seatbelt, but that was all about to change. Within 5 years, over half of the nation had seatbelt laws. Today, wearing a seatbelt is enforceable by law in 49 of the 50 states. And it's not just the legislation. The number of people wearing seatbelts has changed dramatically as well. In 2016, over 88% of Americans buckled up each time they got into a car. In just over 30 years, there was a complete reversal in the habits of millions of people. Laws and regulations are an example of how the government can change our habits by creating a social contract. As a society, we collectively agree to abide by certain rules and then enforce them as a group, right? So I'm gonna skip down here. It says, just as governments use laws to hold citizens accountable, you can create a habit contract to hold yourself accountable. A habit contract is a verbal or written agreement in which you state your commitment to a particular habit and the punishment that will occur if you don't follow through. Then you find 1 or 2 people to act as your accountability partners and sign off on the contract with you, okay? So for my contract, my 2 people are Daniel and my wife, okay? So with my goal being to help 20 agents increase their income through the EXP platform, I'm going to be calling 2 people per day, Monday through Friday. If I don't follow through with this, I will pay Daniel $100 and send him and his family dinner the following Friday. Right, so now I'm putting a punishment in there. Okay, now my wife will also be paid $100, and then she gets, where's the other? A gift of her choice. Now I might have to put a cap on that, because she might show up and say, hey, I want a Lamborghini, you know, I got to put a cap somewhere, right? So we'll put a cap on that, and that's going to help me follow through with what it is that I said I'm going to do, because there's a punishment on the other side. Like, not saying that I don't want to send Daniel's family dinner, but I definitely don't want to do that every week, right? So what are some punishments that you guys can put in place for yourself? I know, Cynthia, you said because you love working out, right? Like you can't go, you can't go to the gym?
Can't go for a walk or to the gym. I can't work out unless I make my calls.
Okay, that's a great one. Anybody else? What's a good punishment?
I don't have a good punishment for me.
We gonna put you in timeout. That's
A little one's sick today. He's running around here.
that's fine.
I don't have a good punishment, man. I just know I feel like I let everybody down if I don't do what I'm supposed to do.
Daniel, for you, a good punishment might be not being able to talk, because you love to talk.
Yeah, that might be it.
You wouldn't know how to.
I lost
do
my
that.
voice a couple of weeks ago for about a week, I had to learn how to type.
We could find a punishment for you. We got to come up with something.
All right.
How about no beer?
It's not really a punishment.
Oh, okay.
You got to pay me $500 if you don't do what you say you're going to
I got to pay you 500.
do.
We did have a thing going where we were going to do a vacation.
Yeah.
We did. If we don't do what we're supposed to do over a 100-day period, then I'm paying for a vacation.
Okay. See, there you go.
I mean, it is limited, but that is something that we're doing. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. We put limits on ourselves already a while back.
Yep. That was a good one. I'm willing to stick to that. So maybe that gives some of you guys an idea.
Yeah, that vacation. Mhm.
Yeah. Vacation for your husband or family member, whoever your accountability partner is. All right. So there was another piece in here that I wanted to touch on that was on page 222. Let me get to that really quick. And that was how to find a game where the odds are in your favor. Okay, so basically it says learning to play a game where the odds are in your favor is critical for maintaining motivation and feeling successful. In theory, you can enjoy almost anything. In practice, you are more than likely to enjoy the things that come easily to you. People who are talented in a particular area tend to be more competent at the task and are then praised for doing a good job. They stay energized because they are making progress where others have failed, and because they get rewarded with better pay and bigger opportunities, which not only makes them happier, but also propels them to produce even higher quality work. It's a virtuous cycle. So basically, this is touching in on like, what are your strengths,
Mhm.
right? Like, how do we optimize our strengths to make the most out of whatever it is that we're doing, right? So on the next page, if you go to 224, they start asking the questions like, what feels like fun to me but work to others? So when I say in this group of people here, if I say administrative work, does that make anybody excited here? I think everybody in this group is like, nope. But for some people, like that's their cup of tea, right? Like that's why we have transaction coordinators, because that is their thing. But if you put us in that arena, like we're not gonna shine.
My wife could do paperwork all day long.
Yeah.
And she is great at it. She could do bookkeeping, accounting in and accounting out all day long. Like she can literally sit at a computer and lose a day just, doing that kind of stuff. And there's no way in the world I could do that.
I feel like my eyes start crossing when I see
That's a good punishment right there. Have to fire the paperwork person. That's a good punishment if I do what I need to do.
There you go. Yeah, let's do it. All right, the next one was, what makes me lose track of time? What do you get lost doing, right? Where do I get greater returns than the average person? And what comes,
You know what this makes me think of?
yeah.
We have this thing called EOS, right?
Mhm.
And the explanation of service. And what this kind of takes me back to is your story of origin. What has your unique past given you the ability to do specifically a skill set that's because of your unique past, right? Like, what is it in your past? I don't know why it makes me think about it, but it makes me think, what makes you different than other people because of your unique past? What skill sets have you learned or gained or an ability? So like, I'm just gonna throw an example out there without getting too personal. So Cynthia was a nurse. So she's been trained to, like she did with Bobby the other day when he had COVID. She said, dut, 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 dut. She was like diagnosing him and she didn't even know she was doing it, right? So we all have a unique past that gives us a specific skill set that makes us different than other people. So if we figure out how we can apply that skill set into what we want to be in the future, it makes that easier. It's not like swimming against the current, it's like floating down the river.
Yeah.
That's exactly what came to mind when he said that was my healthcare class. But to piggyback on what you said, I can't stand monotony. Like if I had to go into a job every day and press the green button every day, do the same thing, I can't handle that. I need to press the green button one day, the yellow button one day, and the blue. I don't like monotony. And my past, I feel and believe the Lord allowed my past to prepare me for my future. Because as a military wife, I have always had to learn how to adapt.
Yeah, that's what exactly what I'm talking about.
The worst situations ever. Like we had to move to another country in less than 30 days. I didn't say to another part of Atlanta. So we had to move the car, ship the car, get the furniture. And because we were going to a Latin American country, the children and I had to have certain immunizations, and I had to take the children. My husband was already there. So I say all of that to say, all that learning to, even my children, to adapt has really helped me with real estate, because almost no 2 days are alike. It's all you do is put out fires all day.
Yeah.
Monkey wrench.
So the next question is, when you take that unique past, which creates this unique set of specialized skill sets or adaptability or whatever it is you have, that becomes the talent. The talent is solving problems, being adaptive, helping people that need that as guidance or whatever. I mean, I couldn't imagine leaving Brandy in another country with my kid and letting it all fall on her to get them to wherever I'm at. I mean, I can't even put that in my brain.
Happens times.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even put it in my brain. So, I mean, that's a unique skill set. So now we've got to take, well, we don't have to do anything, but now we would take that and kind of package it and help you to, market that and be part of your business. So this whole thing is about differentiation. And part of what we must become to be more successful in business is to differentiate ourselves from everybody else. So that might be part of service. That might be part of the talent is going to be solving somebody's problem. You know, what a great niche might be is helping people move back home. That's in the military. I mean, that might be because you're uniquely able to understand that when other people can't.
Mhm.
So that might be what we take as a purpose, package, market, sell, monetize.
Yeah.
So
Go on.
one thing that is a special skill set for me in helping buyers and sellers is being the home inspector's wife for over 15 years. So I have seen thousands and thousands of reports. So knowing what he's writing up every day,
Right.
some of the little nitpicky things that would be so easy to go into a seller and say, okay, here's the list that the home inspector is going to look for, and you want it clean. So do this, and this. And it could be something as simple as changing out light bulbs, batteries in the smoke detectors.
Yeah.
Are you saying they're worried about ants when there's elephants running up down the hallway? They're worried about getting it clean when the windows are busted.
Yeah.
That's
So-
great for your buyers too, though. When you think about it, because when your buyers go out there with, because here's the thing, when we're helping first-time home buyers, you can tell them all day long up front, hey, your inspection report is going to have a bunch of items. But then when they see that inspection report, they start freaking out. But having the fact that you have that piece where your husband was a home inspector, you could tell him, hey, yeah. I mean, these are minor things, that's great. I love that. I think a lot of this hits back on just being self-aware, like you have to have self-awareness about what makes you tick, what you're good at, your history. For me, I know that I have a passion for just helping people in general, right? It started with helping kids because, you know, when I was 13, my parents got a divorce. My dad was basically out of the picture from the time I was in 8th grade all the way through. Now, I'm not saying he's a horrible person. We have a great relationship now, but that sparked something in me to go like mentor kids, right? And in mentoring kids, then I started, you know, figuring out ways that I could speak life into other people or encourage other people. And that's probably why I'm on this call right now with y'all, to tell you the truth. But yeah, I mean, when you think about it, there's certain things, certain events that happen in our life that trigger us to do the things that we end up doing later on, right? And it could be positive or negative. So I love that.
I don't know how many of you guys follow Coach Burt, Michael Burt, but he talks about the reason, he talks about because goals. It's not, I want to set this goal. He goes, I want to do this because of this. I want to be a better father because mine wasn't around.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really have a gold standard. I don't have a standard at all other than a low standard. He was talking about the reason why I bought the first jet was so that I could be home every night, put my kids in bed. And I was actually in Blue Ridge. I was telling somebody the story yesterday. I was in Blue Ridge with a guitarist that's a professional guitarist for a country music person, singer. And we were hanging out. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and it was Easter morning. And the guy had like 4 guitars, amps, all this stuff sitting around this apartment that we had eventually gone to, where they house these guys, entertainment. Anyway, he looked over. I mean, they're singing songs, and we're having a blast. And he looked over and he said, "What time is it? What day is it?" And you know, those people, they got to unwind. They're night owls. They can't just go to bed at 12 o'clock when they come off the stage, right? So they stay up for hours and hours. And anyway, we're having a good time. And he goes, "What time is it? What day is it?" And they said, "It's Easter Eve. The morning's Easter." And he looked over at this guy and said, "Ship all this stuff to the house, get it to the house. I don't care how it gets there." He goes, "Find me a plane. I'm going home." And they got on the phone and they found him a plane in Cartersville, Georgia, which is an hour and a half away. They said, "Get me a car." He goes, "My kids ain't waking up on Easter without me."
Mm.
So he makes a lot of money. He's on the stage. He gives away. We think, man, these guys, we're paying them to work. We're paying to watch them work, right? That's what they do for a living. But then we don't realize they have lives and kids that are waking up at 7 o'clock in the next morning and need the Easter basket, you know, or whatever he does for their kids. And he said, "Give me a plane." And man, he left probably $10,000 worth of equipment there and said, "Y'all get, I don't care how it gets there. I'm going." So there's a determination, and there's also like, there was something in that guy's mind, right? He didn't care what the jet cost because he wants to be a better father and because he promised he's going to be there. See what I'm saying? The relation with the because goals.
Yeah.
I want to do this because of this. Anyway, because goals are probably more powerful to me than any other motivation.
Yeah, because a lot of people would look at that on the surface level and say, "What do you need a jet for?" You know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
Well,
he don't own the jet. I mean, it probably only cost him $1,500 or something to get on the plane and fly back to Nashville. We all think that these things are super, super expensive.
Yeah.
And they're not. I guarantee you there was a plane leaving that morning going somewhere to Tennessee that had 10 empty seats on it, you know, private plane out of Cobb County or something.
Mhm.
But we all held this up. You know who owns planes? People. People own planes. I mean, we always act like these are some unattainable things, but
Yeah.
people flying out in and out of them all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, just my point is we have to broaden our who we want to be.
Yeah.
And also the people around us. Like I talked about last week, I think we can't just put people in place with us because they're there, or we're trying to hire them because we have an immediate need. We have to look to the future. I think that's what this whole book is really about, is look into the future. If you're going to bring somebody into your organization, into your life, into your relationships, connect with them, where do they want to be in 5 years? that matters. Does it align with where you want to be in 5 years? If it's two different places, you don't need to, you guys are going to be like a trains passing in the night.
Yeah.
And that just causes frustration.
That's actually the perfect segue to the last point. So basically in that workbook, one of the things that it talked about for week 4 was you need to join a group, or you ought to join a group where your desired behavior is normal behavior, right? So that made me think about our 100-day challenge group, right? Like, I don't know anybody else who is making consistent phone calls like that every day in a group to agents, right? So in joining that group, we've probably called more agents than we ever have since we've been at EXP. You see what I'm saying? So whatever it looks like, if you're trying to get, I don't know, 50 to 100 listings, there's a group out there that can help you achieve that, or people who have already done that who you can plug in with.
Right.
You know, if you're trying to have a better marriage, find someone who has experience in marriage, like has been married like 25 years, and you know, those are the people you want to be around. So finding that group, or finding those people who this is normal for them. It's not like they're, you know, if you want to plug in with Coach Burt, this is normal behavior for him, right? Like, it's not like he's being forced to do anything. Like, this is how he is every single day. So you want to plug in with people who operate at a higher frequency.
Oh, and there's people that operate at some super high frequencies. I mean, super high level thinking, downloadability, and they're no different than anybody else. They're just people.
Yeah. And if they're willing to have you plug in with them, or mentor you, or take you under their wing, like, go for it. That's what I always say. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this final week. Daniel, you finished the book, right?
Yeah.
I'm done with the book. Cynthia, you finished the book. Bonnie, I know you're working on it. Jill, did you finish the book? Maybe
She's driving. I don't know if she's still there.
That's fine. But anyway, so like I was saying in the beginning, you have another week to go through it, and also to make any tweaks to your habit contract. And Bonnie, I was telling everyone you were there. So whoever you want to be your accountability partner, just you know, write it in there on that contract. It could be me, it could be Daniel, it could be Cynthia, whoever's in the group, or whoever's in your life that you feel like would do a good job of holding you accountable. That's what you want. And then Daniel, I told them earlier, I don't think you were on the call yet, but for mine, if I don't follow through with what I say I'm gonna do, I gotta pay you $100.
Oh, I heard that. I heard that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So also, in addition to your contract, you want to put like a framework of how you're going to track that each week, right? So like for me, track appointments and calls in CRM Grow. Send my list of 10 people that I called Friday by 8 p.m. to Daniel and my wife.
If it's worth doing, it's worth tracking. Promise you that.
Yeah. So track it, and you want to have proof to show the other person, hey, I did this. I mean, that helps with the accountability.
Here's another thing. If it's something that's moving towards something else, let's take going to the gym, for instance. Feeling better, you'll naturally eat a little better. You won't eat the whole box of donuts because you know you went to the gym. There's all these little things that kind of happen in a ripple effect, right? So it's good to put in, you know, not just like, what does the scale say? What are the clothes? How do the clothes fit? How do you feel? You know, these are great markers that are more than just the scale. I think my scale turned into a clock. That thing started telling time. I'm like, what? I think there must be.
This guy.
No, man, it ain't that late, is it?
Lord have mercy.
But something else. So I don't know if you touched on this. So we are going to add a week. That's why you're saying they got extra time. And then we're going to do a recap summary of all of the, what does he call them? Shoot, I can't think what they're called.
It's the 4.
The laws. We're going to do a recap of the laws.
Yep.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Week.
I think this is good. And then next week, we're also going to talk about how you can invite people to it. And I will give everybody their own unique link. Most of you have it, but those that want a unique link to invite other people to it and post it on your Facebook and stuff. I think this is beneficial to anybody. I mean, we're holding the realtors, but I think it's beneficial to anybody, any brokerage or anything like that, because there's nothing that we do that's specific to any brokerage or any group or any organization or anything other than, you know, trying to do habits. Or the next one is the gap in the game, which is a, looks like this. So another great book, the author, Dan Sullivan, I mean, one of my all-time favorite authors anyway. So let's, we'll put that together and have another week, and then we'll invite, and then we'll, you know, this next week we'll invite, and then we'll invite another week and start a new book.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. So I will see you guys back here next Friday, 8:30 a.m. I see one person had issues getting into the Eventbrite, so I'll get with them. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. Did you guys have any questions? Are you good?
All good.
All right, cool. See you guys next week.
Y'all have a great week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.